go on, but there are, in probably 32 checks here, half of them fall into that pattern, the 5, the 7, and the 8, where she felt whatever combination she was doing, she wasn't going to get busted. So, and I've got 6 pages of these, the checks she wrote to herself. So how could they not know the monthly statements or the check statements? As I said, all statements came in, she reconciled them, and then she shredded them. And you think, well, now wait a minute. If this had been going on a couple years, what about taxes? So my dad, in question, does that mean my dad was writing off, let's say, Youngstown Tire, writing off tires that he supposedly had purchased for the business, but there were no tires to write off? So where does that square with the IRS? I don't know. They're working on that one. She also was, for the estimated payments, as I said, she took complete control. They gave her complete control of the money that flowed through that company. She was even not paying the estimated taxes along the way. Now, I know they've contacted the IRS and brought themselves up to speed there. So they're all cool with that one. But the deduction side, I don't know where that one stands. But as it stands right now, she's indicted. She will go to trial here, I don't know, within a year or so. But most importantly in all this, think about your small businesses where you've got a business owner who has driven the business for X number of years. So whether it's 5 years or in my dad's case, roughly 50 years. This guy is a very strong personality. You can't tell him a lot. And that seems to be with most small businesses that have been reasonably successful over a lot of years. You've got a strong personality that you can't tell. You guys know, you're working with him. You're thinking, yeah, I know so-and-so. I try to tell him this, and he's like, no, we're not doing that. Think about your clients. You might take this and say, you know, I was at continuing ed meeting the other day. I think we should sit down and discuss some things about your business. You might take this opportunity to sit down with your clients, the small businesses, and say, you know, we should look at things. The one way that this would have stopped, just like that, if my dad had had a bookkeeper. Another set of eyes that would simply reconcile the books at the end of the month. Now, I don't know what you guys charge to do a bookkeeping service, but think of the thousands of dollars that my dad lost just by her knowing that no one else was looking at those numbers. So, yeah. I'm not a tax person. Is that their corporate tax? We had, great question. My dad's attorney also had a tax service alongside. And so, and someone else asked this question in another one. Why wouldn't they have known? And someone else answered, well, they're only going to know what numbers are supplied to them. So my guess is when Lori Lamb put together the numbers for the taxes, that's what she supplied the CPA within my dad's law practice. That's the only thing I can guess.
Did he not have anybody, any accountant doing like a compilation ever on the bill? Okay, no, that.
Yeah. That's why I say,
because we look at the numbers and try to see what the stuff doesn't look like.
if someone, another set of eyes, were simply looking this either on a monthly or quarterly, someone, she wouldn't have been, might she still have taken the cash? Possibly. She wouldn't have been writing checks to herself. Yeah.
Did they see the bank statements? Did your dad and your brothers see the bank statements?
No. That's just it. She took everything in and then shredded it. And you think, how can that happen, especially over a number of years? It did. It does. And when you've got a business where my siblings and my dad know the business, they know you get out and you work hard all day, you bring it in, they just weren't looking at the numbers. Yeah.
Prior to her starting, who did the office work?
There had been another secretary who left, I think, for maternity leave, and she just never came back. Yeah. And she was the same way. They gave her complete control. Yeah. That's a great question, because she was family to my family. She was at the weddings. She was at the baby showers. When my mom was going through health problems, Alzheimer's, she would stay with my mom for a day to give my dad a break. She was family. So it might have started, I could use a few extra bucks, and it wasn't like I think she was earning close to $40,000. And for Youngstown in a secretarial position, I think that's pretty good. She got paid holidays and sick leave. So it wasn't like they weren't paying her anything, and it wasn't like they were driving her hard. I think it just started out, she was able to pocket a few extra bucks and then realized, hey, they're not looking at the numbers. I can get away with it. But to have gotten away, especially toward the end there where it's upwards of $9,000 a month, there's something that has snapped that has, I don't care about these people, and and how she didn't think she was going to get caught, I don't know. Because she was just blatant about writing these checks out, and had my siblings, just in any one particular month, looked at all the checks that were written, they would have caught it then. But they didn't. And
I was just going to ask, who took the deposit to the bank prior to your dad? That's something he did as a...
that's pretty much what he would do. Because
Did he do it when he was more involved with business?
yeah, he usually did. He was, and one of my other siblings might have, but by and large it was my dad, because, so he's 85, he was pretty active in the business up through his 70s, and he started fading out, but he would still come around, and he's still, and you can think about your clients, your oldest business owner, they still get their fingers in the business messing things up, and my siblings are like, Dad, leave us alone, let us work. And I love them to death. And as I said, they would tell you they were stupid in this whole thing. So I'm not criticizing my family at all. They just didn't. They just trusted someone way too much.
Well, the reason I asked that question is because you always took the bag to the bank, and you're working so much, and you start noticing, you got a real light bag you're going to the bank.
You know, there was some grumbling. Yeah, there was some grumbling as to where's all this money? We know we're doing all this business. Where's all this money? And at one point, toward the end, they were blaming one of the nephews that had worked in the business and said, well, he must be coming in and stealing money. He wasn't doing that. But they knew probably in the last 6 months something wasn't right. They just couldn't put their fingers on it. Uh-huh. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you might even think, well, if you've got a family member who's in doing the books, and they do have a family member now who is in the office doing the books, but they also have a separate set of eyes that checks her work she's doing. Exactly. Even a family member, and you talk about breaking that would be a horrible Thanksgiving dinner to go to when so-and-so has been stealing from the family business. Yeah, so even with family members, you know, one might be thinking, well, so-and-so's getting paid more than me, or they got it better than me. It can even happen within family members who are running the numbers. So that's why I say, take this that I've just given you and go back to your clients and say, you know what, I think we need to sit down and make sure you've got some checks and balances in place. You know what, she wasn't driving a new car. Every few years she was getting a new used car, but she kind of flew under the radar. She had a new bag or maybe a new blouse every once in a while, and she'd say, oh, I just have, because my sister would question her on it. Oh, that's a nice blouse. Oh, I just pulled it out of storage. So, but she wasn't like it was a new home, a big car. It was, I think someone to her kids. I think she gambled a bunch away. So, and that's the point. I don't know that there's any. So they're going after her. My family's going after the money, but I don't know if there's any money to be had. They're going after the money more than the jail time. But I don't know if there's any money there. So, yeah, it's a crying shame, and you think, how the heck could someone be so blind? When you trust someone, it's a family business, and you trust someone implicitly, that's how it happens. Yeah. Yeah. When my youngest brother, that squeaky wheel, would say, something's not right here, Dad, and I think it starts in the office, he'd say, no, you leave her alone, she's fine. He was her defender. And Gary and I talked about this, and it could be because he was the one that hired her and didn't want to admit the huge mistake he made. He was right up into the end, when all my brothers were like, she's it. My dad was like, no, we got to give her a second. Yeah. I don't know. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. And I've used about a half an hour. Any other questions? Use this for your clients. Absolutely. Go back to think about your, yes. You know, my dad is an amazing individual in that, as I said, there are two parts of the business, the Morris Drain and Morris Realty. He was actually not bothered by the Morris Drain side, but the Morris Realty was kind of, as much as this was his baby, this was his money, the Morris Realty. When she dipped into that to buy truck tires because this account was empty, excuse me, it pissed him off, and he was out for blood then. But having said that, I think he's the kind of guy, and maybe this is how guys or business owners get through the tough times, they put blinders on and say, I just want it behind me. I want to go forward with my business. And that's kind of what he's done. He's got a new friend, and he and she go out. My mom has passed a couple of years. They go out polka dancing all the time. So it has bothered him, but he's like, I don't know. The kids are handling it. And so he's not internalized it and not worried about it, and he's doing okay. Amazingly, yeah, he's justified it, put it behind him, and moved on. That's survival instincts, I guess. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate your time.